Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Panagsanib na puwersa ng PBS Radyo Pilipinas World Service at Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Magsisilbing tulay sa himpapawid para sa Filipino diaspora. Dala ay balita, impormasyon at serbisyo publiko na mag-uugnay sa pamahalaan at OFWs sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Tampok din ang mga Pilipino na nagbibigay inspirasyon, kampyon ng kultura, tradisyon at katatagan ng Pilipino sa kapwa Pinoy saan man sa mundo. Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Ang Commission on Filipinos Overseas o CFO ay kinagagalak na itanghal ang Bridges on Air kaakibat ang Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Para sa inyong kaalaman, ang CFO ay ang ahensya ng gobyerno na naatasang siguraduhin ang mga Pilipino saan man sa mundo ay may kaugnayan sa bansang Pilipinas. Nais ng CFO ng ating mga migrante ay kasama natin sa pambansang pag-unlad. Hangad ng CFO ang isang komunidad ng mga kagalang-galang at mahuhusay na Pilipino sa ibayong dagat na makabuluhang nag-aambag sa kapakanan ng bansang kanilang titirahan habang nanatili na matibay ang ugnayang pampolitika, pangkabuhayan at pangkultural sa Pilipinas. Kaya naman po ay nais namin ipakilala ang Bridges on Air, ang programa magbibigay ng boses sa mga Pilipino sa iba't ibang sulok ng mundo upang ibahagi ang kanilang kwento, tagumpay at mga pangarap bilang migrante. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa tulong ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service upang mabigyan ng pagkakataon ating mga kababayan sa ibayong dagat na maging kabalikat natin sa mga usapin at talakayan patungkol sa pabansang kaunlaran. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay ang migranteng Pilipino. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Magandang araw sa ating mga tagapakinig at taga-subaybay dito sa Himpilang Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Narito na naman tayo para sa isang edisyon ng Bridges on Air, ang programang nabuo sa kolaborasyon ng PBS Radyo Pilipinas World Service at ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas o CFO. Kami po ang inyong mga lingkod sa ngalan po ng ating kasamang si Ray Sampang. Ako po si Steph Vicente ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
At sa ngalan naman po ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas, ako po si Ares Gutierrez.
At tayo kasalukuyang napapanood via our Facebook page, ang opisyal na Facebook page ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Pakisearch nyo lamang po, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Napakasimple po niyan. Hanapin nyo lamang din po bilang palatandaan itong logo na umaandar sa aking likuran para madali nyo pong mahanap ang ating himpilan. At syempre, hindi lamang dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service ine-ere sa Facebook ang Bridges on Air, maging sa opisyal na Facebook page din ng CFO. Nandyan ang episode natin ng Bridges on Air. Meron din tayong mga re-uploads at replays. O actually, hindi na rin re-uploads at replays pala. No? Kasabayan din nating ume-ere sa ating YouTube channel, ang Bridges on Air. Pakisearch lamang po sa YouTube, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Same pa rin po, hanapin ang logo na nasa likuran ko. At syempre, hindi natin pwedeng kalimutan ng ating Evox PBS Receiver app, ang ating radio application dito sa Presidential Broadcast Service. Pakihanap lang din po ang ating logo para live na live nyo pong mapakinggan itong Bridges on Air. Kahit saan, no? Kahit on the go ay mapapakinggan nyo. Basta may data, pwede dyan sa Evox PBS Receiver app. At hindi natin pwedeng kalimutan lalo ang kolaborasyon ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service at ng United States Agency for Global Media para sa ating broadcast sa shortwave radio. Ang programang Bridges on Air ay umi-ere sa shortwave radio Lunes ng madaling araw within 1:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time po yan. Kaya dun sa mga medyo nalilito, i-convert nyo na lamang po, no, dun sa oras kung nasan kayo. Lalong-lalo na sa ating target audiences, no, ang ating non-resident Filipinos. So, Sir Ares, ayan, isang panibagong edisyon.
Oo.
Medyo lumaktaw lang tayo, no, ng...
Panibagong edisyon, panibagong buwan.
Oh, kaya nga, saktong-sakto,
Oo.
no? May, kumbaga, isa tong panimulang episode, no? Ngayong buwan ng Hulyo. Yung last episode kasi natin ng Bridges, no, ay naka-focus pa, no, doon sa Diaspora Summit. So, ngayon ay fresh na fresh tayo, no? Medyo napahingalan tayo ng isang Sabado,
Oo,
pero
dahil kayo ay nagpunta ng Quezon Memorial Circle.
kaya nga, napakalayo ng pinuntahan ng team, no? Quezon Memorial Circle. Ayan, paglilinaw po, no? Hindi kami masyadong lumayo-layo.
Ano
Dito
bang
lang,
ginawa nyo doon?
kumain. Kumain at syempre na masyal. Kasi ang daming museum pala, no?
Oo.
Sa,
Anong napasok ng museum doon?
yung, syempre yung shrine
Ni Quezon.
ni Quezon,
Oo.
nandyan. Yung bahay modernismo, nandyan din yan. Tapos yung, syempre, yung Presidential Car Museum.
Oo.
Doon kami din nagtungo, no? Gulat na gulat pa kami. Parang mayroong mga ilang pangulo na pare-parehas lang pala ang brand ng kotse, no? Na kanilang
Alam mo ba yung
sinakyan,
mga kotse na yan? Dati yan sa Fort Santiago.
Mm.
Open air. Kaya ang tagal ng project yan. Parang umabot ng 20 years yan bago yan nabuo.
Tagal pala.
Ang tagal kasi tulad na lang sa ewan ko kung bago na, no? Kasi nagkaroon ako ng involvement din sa project na yan.
Mm.
Yung kay President Pinoy, kay Noynoy Aquino, hindi nila mabitawan yung ginamit yung presidential car. Kasi bago pa yun.
Ayun lang. Yun
Kasi
lang.
si President Noynoy, unlike yung ibang mga naging pangulo, ang gamit ng mga past presidents, nakita mo doon puro mga limousine.
Mm-mm.
Si President Pinoy, SUV. Ang kotse niya eh. Hindi pareho ng mga engranding kotse doon.
Mm-mm. Parang sa pagkakaalala ko, parang wala nga doon. Hanggang
wala
kay
pa.
lang eh.
Si MacArthur lang ang hindi presidente na may sasakyan doon.
Kaya nga, yun, hindi pa natin nakikita yung kay Pinoy.
Oo.
Hanggang kay former President Arroyo pa lang ang nandun. Hopefully,
Magandang mapasyalan din ng mga tagapakinig natin yung museum na yun. At yung isang binanggit mo, yung modernismo, alam mo ba na yun ang original na bahay ni Noy Aquino at Cory Aquino.
oh,
At inilipat doon. Sa Time Street yun, dito sa Quezon City. Bungalow yun eh. Doon, nung namatay si Senator Noy Aquino, doon siya binurol.
mm-mm.
At maraming naganap na mga historical events doon sa bahay na yun. At nung magpapagawa na ng sariling bahay si Noy Aquino, dahil siya nagmana ng bahay.
Mm-mm.
Imbis na ipagiba yung bahay,
Mm-mm.
binigay sa Quezon Memorial Circle Foundation para tayuan ng Democracy Museum. Pero nung nagbago na naman yung administrasyon sa City Hall, ginawang bahay modernismo.
Kaya pala, may iba-ibang mga era doon nung nakita namin, akala namin para kami nag-travel through time dun sa bahay modernismo. At bukod po doon, syempre yung inilipat din, no? Parang naglipatan lang ng yung mga bahay doon, yung rest house ni Quezon.
Oo, nandun din.
Ang ko talaga doon, yung pinaka-naalala ko, yung spiral na hagdan. Parang medyo nahilo ako doon. Parang delikadong mahulog doon. Sa kalima-lima lang ang pwede sa taas. Kasi, yung ibang parte nun, yun pa rin yung talagang ginamit. Nung una yun binuo. Kaya, syempre, alam naman natin, pag tumatagal kasi, medyo nagiging brittle. So, nag-iingat sila. Kaya 5-5 lang, per batch lang, ang pwedeng umakyat sa taas.
Baka bigla mong masamahan si President Quezon at doon ka na may...
yun tama. Sabi nga, baka dumiretso sa baba. Yun ang ano doon. Kaya ingat-ingat
Yung
din.
maraming pumupunta ng Quezon Memorial Circle, pero hindi nila masyadong napapasyalan yung mga museo diyan.
Kaya nga, more on ano lang larmierda lang sa
At walang
ano.
bayad yun, yung Presidential Car Museum. Pwede, papasok ka doon libre, walang sinisingil doon.
Kaya nga, no, kung yung mga ganong puntahan walang bayad, bakit hindi pa
Oo nga,
puntahan?
kung nakakapagbayad ka ng 100 to 300 para makapasok sa isang theme park, ito libre, ang dami ka pang matututunan.
Totoo. At syempre, kung medyo nagugutom, di kapag habang binabaybay yung mga museum,
Oo.
nandun lang yung mga kainan para dun sa medyo mga foodie dyan, natuto ka na, nabusog ka
Oo.
pa.
May isa pa palang museum dyan, yung tinatawag namin noon na QCX, Quezon City Experience Museum. History naman ng Quezon City ang naka-feature doon.
Kaya talagang sasabihin natin, syudad-syudad lang
Oo.
dito sa Kamaynilaan, pero sa totoo lang, ang daming mga museum dyan, ang daming pwedeng pasyalan bukod sa mga mall. Hindi lang mga mall ang pwedeng puntahan, may matututunan din
Oo.
dito kasi merong misconception kasi 'di ba sa pag nasa syudad laging maingay, pollution, pero may mga nakatago diyan na kumbaga pwedeng matuto, pwedeng makapag-relax. Nagulat nga din ako kasi first time, ayan, sa 7 taon ko nandito sa
Oo,
bureau.
Kitang-kita pa man din dito
Kaya nga, dun pa lang ako, unang beses ko palang pumunta sa QC Memorial Circle at nakita ko pa doon yung ang dami nilang kumbaga avenue for recreation doon. Nakita ko meron pala doon yung mga
may mga gym equipment.
Kaya nga sabi ko, pwede palang mag-exercise dito bago pumasok.
Actually, dati maraming taga dito, PIA, PNA, PBS, pupunta dyan. Meron silang exercise group. Noon mga nauna pa.
Kaya madaming talagang pinopromote na, no? Madaming pwedeng gawin pala dyan sa QC Memorial Circle. At yun, ayan, nakapag-share na naman ng mga lamyerda natin dito sa Bridges on...
Pinapaliwanag lang naman natin yung bakit hindi tayo naka-air.
Pero madami na tayong nasabi. Marami na tayo na i-share. And speaking of sharing, syempre, ay itong dalawang bahagi ng ating programa. Kasi sa unang bahagi ng ating programa, meron tayo ulit makakasama na CFO correspondent na magdi-discuss nito nga tinatawag na kumustahan. At dun sa ikalawang bahagi naman, may makakasama tayo na Cebuana Filipino-American filmmaker at musician na bahagi po ng isang grupo na tinatawag na Kulintang Dialect. Ayan, na marami tayong matututunan dun sa ating panauhin na yon. Pero hindi na natin masyadong pahabain ang ating introduction dahil kasama na natin ang ating CFO Community Correspondent sa araw na ito, sa edisyong ito ng Bridges on Air. Walang iba kundi ang Immigrant Services Officer 2 mula sa CFO Migrant Integration and Education Division. Walang iba kundi si Sir Joshua Dave Garcia. Sir Joshua, welcome po sa Bridges on Air.
Magandang araw po, Ms. Steph and Sir Ares. Sa lahat po ng nanonood at nakikinig ngayon, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.
Magandang araw din sa siguro, hindi namin masyadong patatagalin. Ano ba itong kumustahan? Ano ba yung mga nangyari dyan? At ano ba ang direktang impact nito sa ating non-resident Filipinos? Nasa inyo na po ang pagkakataon.
So, besides sa mga programa natin na tumutulong sa paghahanda sa mga migranteng Pilipino sa kanilang pag-alis, isa rin po sa mga programa namin ay yung Kumustahan Series, nasabi niyo nga po. So, ito pong Kumustahan Series ay isang initiative ng CFO na naglalayong magbigay ng venue for Filipinos overseas or yung mga NRFs, non-resident Filipinos, to reconnect, magbahagi ng kanilang mga karanasan, at makatanggap ng mga napapanong impormasyon at suporta. So ito pong programa na ito ay nagsimula bilang para sa mga au pair sa Europa. So dahil po sa naging positibong epekto nito, Pinalawak namin ang programa para rin sa mga kabataang migrante. Meron na rin po tayong kumustahan para sa kanila. At ngayon, for marriage migrants, recognizing that they also face unique challenges and as they adjust to life in another country. Ayan. So, just this year lang po, matagumpay naming naisagawa ang mga kumustahan para sa mga Filipino marriage migrants sa South Korea, China. Pinakahuli po ay noong June 30 lang, kung saan nagsagawa kami ng kumustahan para sa mga Filipino marriage migrants sa Taiwan naman. So sa naturang programa po, tinalakay namin ang kahalagahan ng pananatiling may sapat na kaalaman, konektado sa komunidad dito sa Pilipinas, at pagiging matatag sa kabila ng mga hamon ng pamumuhay sa ibang bansa. Pinaliwanag din po namin ang mga legal na proteksyon laban sa human trafficking, kabilang ang mga panganib ng mail order spouse schemes, mapanlinlang na recruitment, illegal recruitment, at iba pang uri ng pagsasamantala. So napag-usapan din po namin yung kahalagahan din ng mental and emotional well-being nila doon. Ayan. So yung mga nag-participate po, hinikayat namin sila na maging open, maging bukas sa pag-share, pagbabahagi ng kanilang mga pinagdaraanan.
Pero Joshua, yung participants ba ng kumustahan, yan ba yung mga kinounsel nyo sa PIDOS?
Yes po, tama po yan, sir. So ito po mga ito ay yung mga...
So ito ay follow-up?
So ito po ay yung mga participants po ay mga dumaan sa guidance and counseling program ng CFO na ngayon ay doon na naninirahan. Yeah.
Nabanggit nyo kanina, no, yung kumbaga inyo din na kinukonsidera yung sa mental health ng
Yes po.
ating mga NRFs po, no? So, meron ba kayong mga kasama dito sa kumustahan ng mga mental health professionals tulad lamang po ng mga psychologists, mga psychiatrists na mga eksperto po na direktang makakatulong sa ating NRFs?
Yes po, meron po tayong mga kasama. Actually po, mga nag-facilitate po nito is mga counselors po. Kasi po, mga licensed counselors. Ayan. So sila po ang mga nakasama natin sa pag-facilitate nitong kumustahan with NRFs sa Taiwan.
Joshua, doon sa framework nung ginagawa ninyong counseling, lalo na doon sa mga marriage migrants, ano yung mga basic na tinatalakay ninyo doon?
So dito po, sa guidance and counseling, sa ganyan po, tinatalakay natin yung mga possible na challenges na kanilang kaharapin doon habang naninirahan sa ibang bansa. Challenges so tulad sa pag-migrate, sa migration, sa intermarriage. Yan, and binibigyan din po namin sila ng lugar or venue na pwede nilang i-discuss or express yung kanilang mga concerns, no? Sa kanilang pagsasama o sitwasyon doon ngayon, and dinidiscuss rin po natin dito yung mga possible na panganib, yan, and yung mga possible po na pwede nilang hingan ng tulong kung sakali kailangan nila doon sa ibang bansa.
Pero ang ano ba dyan, yung tinatalakay nyo ba dyan yung parang yung mga differences sa kultura nung mapapangasawa nila?
Yes po, that's kasali po yun sa mga challenges, cultural differences. Yes po.
Matanong ko lamang po, no, without giving too much specifics due to, syempre, privacy din, no, ng mga nakilahok dyan sa kumustahan. Ano po yung mga karaniwang concerns na idinudulog po ng mga participants sa CFO?
So, actually, tama po yun. Isa po yun sa mga dinudulog nila is yung cultural differences talaga. So, yung hindi po sila familiar dun sa lugar, unang-una, sa mga tao at sa kanilang kultura. So, pangalawa po is yung language barrier. Yan. And susunod po is yung adjustment in general sa buhay doon.
Alam mo kaya ako natanong yan kasi meron akong kamag-anak doon. Hindi pa niya alam noon na ako'y nasa CFO. Tapos nabanggit niya na nakapag-attend siya ng PIDOS dyan sa ng guidance counseling dyan sa CFO. pinaglaban niya talaga na magkaroon siya ng sarili niyang bank account. Dahil yun
Opo.
daw ang natutunan niya sa inyo.
Tama po. So actually, tama po yun. Tinuturuan po namin sila na maging self-sufficient, no? Huwag nakadepende, no, sa kanilang partner lamang, kundi magkaroon sila ng kapasidad na suportahan ang kanilang sarili doon sa ibang bansa. So
Mm.
tama po yun.
Mm. Matanong ko lamang po, no, kasi kanina nabanggit niyo na nagsagawa na kayo ng kumustahan sa several countries within East Asia. So, ano pa po, no, for the rest of the year, ay saan-saang bansa target ng CFO na pumunta, no? Kasi, di ba parang may sinusulong na maglalagay kayo ng mga parang mga representatives to address ng yung concerns ng ating Filipino diaspora?
Yes po. So sa ngayon po, pinag-aaralan pa ho namin kung saan pong mga bansa pa ang pagdadausan natin ng kamustahan. So baka ho, magbase tayo sa dami, no, ng mga NRFs doon sa bansa na yon. So abangan po natin kung saan.
And hopefully, mai-announce natin dito sa
Oo.
Bridges on Air o kahit
Yes.
sa serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas kung kailan yung mga susunod and yung specific dates para talagang markado na sa kalendaryo ng ating mga NRFs. Ayun, may katanungan pa po ba?
Pero Dave, yung di ba, yung mga nag-participate doon, sinabi mo nga kanina, ito parang follow up doon sa guidance counseling session nila nung bago sila umalis, di ba? So ano ba ang napansin nyo na meron bang nakatulong ba yung ginagawa ninyong guidance counseling sa sitwasyon nila?
Yan, maganda po actually yung mga kanilang feedback or na-share na experiences doon kung saan nagamit nila yung mga natutunan nila doon sa seminar kahit po 1.5 to 2 hours lang po yung inattendan nila. Nakakatuwa kong makita na nagagamit nila, na-i-apply, no? At yun po yung patunay na hindi lang po sa kanilang pag-alis natatapos yung suporta, no, yung serbisyo ng CFO, kundi patuloy po kahit sila po ay doon na nananirahan, kahit saang panig man po ng mundo.
Siguro, medyo puputulin na natin, no, si Sir Joshua dahil we're running out of material time. Tulad ng ating nabanggit kanina, no, ay i-announce natin, no, yung mga next dates for kumustahan ay surely i-announce natin dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service bilang isa ang ating himpilan sa mga katuwang ng CFO pagdating sa information dissemination. So, Sir Joshua, maraming salamat po. We hope na hindi ito ang una at huli niyo pong beses na magiging CFO Community Correspondent para sa ating programa. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din po sa pag-imbita.
At ating nakasama ang ating CFO Community Correspondent para sa edisyong ito ng Bridges on Air, si Sir Joshua Dave Garcia ng Migrant Integration and Education Division ng CFO. At sa pagbabalik ng ating programang Bridges on Air ay dadako na tayo sa ating Pinoy Ako segment. Tulad ng ating nabanggit kanina, isang Cebuana na Filipino-American filmmaker and musician ng ating mga kasama. Abangan nyo lamang po yan. Narito muna ang ilang paalala mula sa ating himpilan.
Work abroad? Easy money. No visa. Baka human trafficking yan. Makialam, itimbre mo. Tumawag sa 1343 para humingi ng tulong. Paalala mula sa Interagency Council Against Trafficking.
Pinoy Ako! Tampok ang natatanging kaling at dedikasyon ng Pinoy na nagbigay karangalan sa inang bayan at nagsilbing inspirasyon at modelo sa kapwa Pinoy saan man sa mundo. Pinoy Ako! Dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
At nagbabalik ang ating programang Bridges on Air, ang programang binuo sa kolaborasyon po ng PBS Radyo Pilipinas World Service at ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas o CFO. Kami pa rin po ang inyong mga lingkod mula sa side ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Ako po si Steph Vicente.
At ako naman po para sa side ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas, ako po si Ares Gutierrez.
At Sir Ares, nandito na tayo na naman sa segmentong Pinoy Ako, kung saan nagtatampok tayo
Yes.
ng mga natatanging non-resident Filipinos na nagta-thrive sa iba't ibang mga larangan. At sa edisyong ito ng Bridges on Air, no, particular dito sa Pinoy Ako segment, ay meron tayong makakasama na isang filmmaker, no, na nakabase sa Estados Unidos. Very exciting, no, ang ating magiging panayam kasi meron itong focus, no, bukod syempre sa filmmaking aspect, meron din dito po na parang musical
O
aspect din.
musikero din sila.
Yes.
Kasama sa isang grupo na
Kasi
kakaiba ang kanilang musika.
yes, dahil bibigyang focus din natin dito sa Pinoy Ako segment today, itong tinatawag na kulintang. Ayan, kaya talagang mapapabalik tayo talaga sa ating kultura, lalong-lalo na sa music na nilikha pa, no, noong mga nagdaang henerasyon, no,
Ang dami kong mai-imagine na nangyayari pag tumutunog yung kulintang.
Ayun, at least mai-inform natin yung mga tagapakinig sa atin na lalong-lalo na siguro yung mga Gen Z dyan, no? Na hindi, kasi syempre nasa modern age na tayo na talagang puro pag sa cellphone, puro digital, pero this time talagang babalik tayo sa ating roots. At upang mapag-usapan lahat ng ito, no, syempre pati yung journey mismo ng ating makakapanayam ay nandito na ang isang Filipina-American filmmaker, writer at musician na nataon na isa ring Cebuana. Ayun. At kasama na po natin sa ating linya ng komunikasyon via Zoom ang Filipino-American filmmaker, writer at musician na si Miss Gingy Saison. Miss Gingy, welcome to Bridges on Air.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much as well for giving us your time to have you here in the program Bridges on Air. We're very glad because we know that we would learn a lot from you, especially when it comes to the fields of filmmaking and music. So I guess we'll have to start with this question. How, when, and why did you start making films and music as well?
So for my filmmaking, it is actually inspired by Kulintang. Kulintang is actually the center of a lot of work I create. So I wrote and had an article about Kulintang published in a local magazine. I made a film about a short documentary about our band that screened in several countries. I got to talk to over 12,000 people on live stream about it. That was really cool. I also created a local art exhibition sponsored by the city of San Jose, where I'm based, using Kulintang music I created. So it's actually the inspiration for a lot of things I create.
Miss Gingy, kulintang is more of a Mindanaoan instrument. So I'm just trying to look for a connection between your Visayan roots and this Mindanaoan instrument. So what made you discover this instrument? This is more of a ethno-Malay instrument, I think.
Yeah, well, the origins of Kulintang is very debated because there's some people who say that actually Kulintang was played all throughout the Philippines before colonization. But of course, today you can see that in the southern Philippines, that's where it's a living tradition. It's a lifestyle. It's not just for special occasions like how we perform it over here. But for me in particular, actually, I didn't know Kulintang existed for a long time. But I studied classical music for, K through 12, and then also in college. And I thought that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But I think an experience that, is very common with a lot of Filipinos outside of the homeland is we kind of start to become distant from our roots,
Mhm.
right? Because we don't have Kulantan classes
Yeah.
or Filipino music education here. So in college, I went through all these classes, music theory, music history, never learned anything about Filipino music. And I think in some ways, I kind of start to feel like I'm not sure I belong here. But later, when I start to understand my identity as a Filipino
Mhm.
and then on Kulintang, it felt like I came home to myself through the
Mhm.
music.
So
That's the best way.
when was the first time you saw or you heard Kulintang music? Because Kulintang is played together with Kudyapi and other ethnic instruments. When was the first time you heard this kind of music?
Yeah, so actually in San Francisco, there's a place called the Manila Town
Yeah,
Heritage
yeah.
Foundation.
Was that in Daly
Yeah,
City?
in San Francisco,
Okay, oh
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a historic Filipino town there,
Mhm.
until some real estate developers decided to build a mall and a parking lot there. So actually, that's sort of like a reclamation of that area. So they have cultural programming, and that's where I first heard and saw Kulintang.
Mhm.
Mm. You mentioned identity just earlier, Miss Jinji. I am just curious. Were you born in the United States, or you migrated from the Philippines to where you are living right now?
I was born in the US, actually.
Mm. And despite being born in the US, of course, we know a lot of Filipino Americans are very proud of their Filipino heritage. There are a lot of celebrities actually there mentioning their Filipino roots, and they are very proud of it. So, from your perspective, we would just like to know, since we're also talking about identity earlier, what is it that you love about being Filipino?
Well, I think what makes me the proudest to be Filipino is when I see people practicing bayanihan,
Mhm.
that spirit of helping others. Um, for me as a cultural worker practicing Kuantang, I try to do that by sharing the knowledge that I have. And as a group, Kuantang dialect, the band that I'm in, we do workshops,
Mm.
we do a lot of education, and as much as possible, when we have workshops, we also try to make it a fundraiser for causes we care about. For example, last November, we had a workshop that was a fundraiser for typhoon and flood relief efforts in the Philippines. Because to me, if I'm going to take something from the homeland and I
Mhm.
only use it for myself, that's kind of extractive. I feel like as cultural workers, we also have to do something that improves the lives of our kababayan.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. And speaking of that, Miss Jinji, since you have mentioned that you were part of several fundraisers, how do you use kulintang, the art itself, the music itself, exactly for these kinds of community work, especially when it comes not only to help Filipinos living here in the Philippines, but also Filipinos who are there in the United States.
Mhm. Yeah, so one thing that we did that was really cool because um, besides Kuentang dialect, we have a lot of community collaborators. And I don't know if you know the history of the Buffalo Soldiers.
Mm.
Um, right? So for the viewers who haven't heard of this history, it's not talked about as much over here, but there was a regiment that the American Army sent to, colonize the Philippines, and one of the infantry was a lot of African American soldiers. And some of those soldiers actually, because they saw how they were treated in the US, they defected because they said, I know how I was treated in the US. I don't want to, do the same thing and have the Filipino people suffer the way we suffered. So they actually rebelled against the US Army, tried to help the Philippines fight for independence at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the projects we did last, was it 2 or 3 months ago? It's called Afro-Filipino Jazz Project. And part of that includes this piece called Buffalo Soldiers, A Crisis of Conscience, composed by one of our bandmates, John Calloway, because his great-great-grandfather was one of those Buffalo soldiers who fought for the Philippines' independence. And so, those are, and besides that, there was also some up-and-coming Afro-Filipino artists who had a chance to showcase their talent on stage. So I think whenever we can do those projects that kind of shed more light on these overlooked parts of history, it's really powerful.
That's new to me, that Buffalo Soldiers, that the Buffalo Soldiers in the was that were you referring to the Filipino-American War?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Narinig mo ba yun, Steph, dati? Kung hindi ko nabasa sa history natin.
At least, no, may bago tayo natutunan.
Yeah. It's quite
Even over
surprising,
here, I don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is rarely mentioned
Yeah.
in our history because the only maybe a few things that I really remember about the American occupation here in the Philippines, of course, since we're here in Quezon City, of course, the Commonwealth government. That's one.
Because what is more popular was the remember those Balangiga bells.
Yes.
That also happened during the Filipino-American War. But what the Jinji is saying is that there's a group of soldiers from the Buffalo Army who defected to the Filipino side. Am I
Yes.
right, Jinji?
Yes, that's what happened.
I think I need to revisit my history books.
Yes. Me too. I think we all have.
Thank you for that, Jinji. I'm really surprised. I'm glad that there's something like that happened.
That's all new information for us. Of course, you have mentioned that, and you also mentioned earlier your partnership with the National Alliance for Filipino Concerns, or NAFCON, where you were part of the fundraiser for typhoon and flood relief efforts in the Philippines. So, are there any other organizations who collaborated with you for fundraisers and of course to spread the music itself, Kulintang?
Yeah, one really big organization. We just partnered with them, or not partnered, they're collaborated with them, but it's called Uni at Ugat, House of Bonds. So it's run by Ron and Lydia Korean, and they're actually two people who were in the band that I'm in now previously, and they started this sort of hub for young diasporic Filipino artists where there's cultural programming so they can learn, Talaandig chants, they can learn how to play hegolong, indigenous taboli instruments. It's really so that young diasporic Filipino artists can learn how to incorporate more indigenous instruments into their craft. So my bandmate Conrad and I from Kuantang Dialect, we were actually teaching some workshops there this past May. And yeah, I would really recommend it. It's for any artist around the world. It's an annual application. And if you get in, have a chance to learn from master artists from the indigenous communities. So what a great opportunity, right?
Mm. And also, since you have been mentioning workshops as well, I'm wondering just now if you had some collaborations, at least with the consulates general of the Philippines in your area, in order for you to spread the art to probably to the youth, the Filipino, other Filipino American youth within the jurisdiction of those consulates general.
We have not met them yet, although we
Mm.
have performed at city events where I don't think they were able to attend last time. I know they're busy, but um, yeah, we just haven't had the opportunity yet.
Mm.
Like I just my attention was drawn into this collaboration that you had with about mixing kulintang with what's this? Am I saying it right? Taiko?
Mm.
Yeah.
A kulintang
So
experiment.
yeah,
And
so as you know, taiko is the traditional form of drumming from Japan.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yes.
I know that.
Yes.
yeah, so this is actually another offshoot project from Kuantang dialect. It's with our friends, percussionist, guitarist Chris Trinidad, and we have a local legendary saxophonist, Francis Wong, and then Melody, who plays taiko, and she has her two taiko students, Cameron and Ashley. Once in a while, we get together and we'll perform at, like a Japanese festival.
Mm-hmm.
They performed at
Can you
Soy and Tofu Festival recently using like quantum computers. It was really interesting.
Yeah, because you're also it says here that you're also mixing it with Afro music, Cuban,
Mm.
Latin American
Yeah,
music.
yeah. So that's why we're called the Kuentang dialect because
Mm.
this is
Mm.
playing the traditional pieces that were passed down by the late master Denungan Kalandoyan, who pioneered Kuentang in the U.S. We
Okay.
also are original works that have influences shaped by our own personal experiences as diasporic Filipinos growing up
Mm.
here. So the Afro-Filipino influences come from one of our bandmates, John Calloway.
Mm.
Um, and so because he's like kind of like a Latin jazz artist legend here in the Bay Area, he's been
Yeah,
doing it
yeah.
for over 10 years. And so in one of our pieces on our new album, Kuantang Dialogue, if you've listened to Benalig Afro-Pino, I believe that's the one, you can hear that it's a gourd that has beads. It's called a shakere. And
Mm.
then there's a Puerto Rican rhythm called the bomba. So there's things like that throughout our album that have cross-cultural influences. Yeah.
Where can we listen to your music? Is it on Spotify or any music streaming platform?
Yeah, so we have some of our older music on Spotify. If you search Kulintang, Kulintang dialect,
Mm-hmm.
Dialect. But for our latest album, we actually decided to do CDs and digital downloads on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
So if you search our band name on Bandcamp, it should come up. And we're also going for a Grammy consideration in the World Fusion category. So that will help us if you
So
purchase
it's
there.
there. Because Spotify is the more popular platform, so we can also find your music there.
Yes. Mhm.
And I'm just curious, have you been to the Philippines and managed to immerse yourself in Kulintang in Kulintang music down in southern Philippines? Have you been there?
Oh. Yeah, so I would love to. One of our other bandmates, Conrad, who is actually studied under the late master Danangon Kalanduin. He's gone to the Philippines several times. Been able to play with the legendary Kuntang master Aga Maya, forgot her last name. But every year there's actually this trip to the Southern Philippines put together by Cool Arts, which is a indigenous arts organization here in San Francisco. They're able to get Filipino artists here and take them on a trip to the Southern Philippines so they can do immersion and, really understand Kulintang and indigenous music at the local level. And so I haven't gone yet, but when I have enough money, hopefully next year I can go.
I think, Gingy, you should also try to explore what ASEAN is up to, because they're also promoting ethno music. And Kolintang is also being played in Brunei, in Malaysia, and Indonesia.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you should
So,
try looking for the programs of ASEAN, especially the Philippines is now the host country of the ASEAN.
I see. I didn't know that.
Now, I am just reading your profile here, and you have mentioned a quote from Filipino ethnomusicologist Mary Talusan Langkale that describes it best. Culture must be allowed to transform and evolve in order to continue. How would you relate this quotation to the journey you have in handling Kulintang dialect?
Yeah. So in Kuntang dialect, I think what we always try to do is present the most genuine version of ourselves, right? And I think that's why our community resonates with the music, because we are not, strictly traditional, and we are not indigenous Filipinos, right? So we're not going to try to pretend to be that. And I think that the indigenous Kuntang artists in the Philippines, they already do that really well, right? I think what's kind of more needed in our area, and especially to get other Filipinos interested in this music, is for them to understand like how this fits into our daily lives, not just as Filipinos, but also as, again, people who have studied classical music or Afro-Filipino, Afro-Cuban music, all these influences. So you don't have to choose, am I going to play Filipino or am I going to, play classical? You can do both. And, of course, I have so much respect for, where their ancestors played 500 years ago. But even if we wanted to play exactly what they played, we can't, because there's so little written records of it. And so while we play the traditional pieces, we also have to root what we play in something current and modern so that other young people can also see themselves reflected in it, whether, it's like a hip hop beat or backbeat on the agong, or maybe like we play James Brown stops on the kulintang gongs, something that they haven't heard before. So they might be like, hey, what's that? Tell me more.
And I just read that one of your future plans is to score music for a local documentary. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so for this local documentary, the filmmaker, they found us because we played for this sort of monument reclamation in San Francisco. There is a statue dedicated to Admiral Dewey, which, as you know, he is not a very, respected figure in our history because of what he did to the Filipino people. But yet there's a statue glorifying him. So we did, I hope I'm saying it right, Kunitaan ng Pagtutuwid sa Kasaysayan, it was like a very solemn event, and this filmmaker was there, and they saw us perform, and we also played a piece from our Buffalo Soldier Suite, and then contacted us afterwards. They're doing this documentary called 1,000 Threads, where they're getting different stories about people from the Bay Area. That's as far as I know. We haven't been told much more than that yet, but I think that the work they've done, like the monument reclamation, filming, it very much aligns, with our vision and the kind of community events that we want to promote. So I think we're going to be doing some improvisational kulintang for the score, which is really cool. Yeah.
And we also learned that you have won an apprenticeship grant through the Alliance for California Traditional Arts a second time. What's about it, Miss Jinji? What is this all about?
Yeah, so the Alliance for California Traditional Arts is the premier organization that supports and uplifts cultural practitioners in the state of California. So my bandmate Conrad and Conrad is the founder of Kulintang Dialect, by the way. We won a apprenticeship grant to support our journey, not just, with, publishing and marketing, but also with monetary funds, which is a big deal because I actually drive from San Jose to San Francisco every week for rehearsals and lessons, and it's, a long commute. So as artists, having that monetary support, of course, it goes a long way towards helping us continue the work that we do. But basically, the apprenticeship supports a year-long of study under a master artist. Conrad doesn't like to call himself a master artist, but so we call him a mentor. And then at the end, we do a concert to present, what we worked on to the general public. So yeah, we actually won that apprenticeship again for the 2026 to 2027 year. So yeah, looking forward to putting on that concert.
Is it just the two of you who are handling the Kulintang dialect?
No, so it's Conrad Benedicto, the founder of the group, who, like I said, studied under the late Kulintang master Danungan Kaunduyan. And then it's me, and then our bandmate Michelle Liwanag, John Calloway, and Manny Dragon. Yeah, but it's because I've been an apprentice studying Kulintang under Conrad. So we were the ones who applied for the apprenticeship grant. But Kulintang Dialect as a group, we did win grants previously that supported our work. And Conrad just told me this morning we actually have another grant coming in that's supporting our future compositions. So, very grateful for all the support the state's given to us.
In your group, Kulintang Dialect, are all of you Filipino Americans?
Yes, we are. Very proud of that.
Yeah, you should. We didn't get most of your profile, but how old are you, Miss Jinji?
I'm 34.
Very young.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're as young as
30s
Steph.
Yeah, we're around the same generation. I'm also wondering if of course currently are you with a family as well, since you mentioned earlier in this interview that you were born in the US.
Yeah, so I actually take care of my mom. She had a stroke a couple years ago, so she's okay now, thank God. But she does live with mobility challenges, so I'm actually a caregiver. And so, yeah, caregiving is a challenging job. And knowing that, especially a lot of OFWs are caregivers, right?
Yes.
So, salute anyone doing that work. It's not easy.
I also noticed that you referred to you made some reference to yourselves as diasporic Filipinos. Is that a new term?
Yeah, I think Yeah, I didn't know what it meant until recently, but it just means Filipinos living outside of the
All
Philippines,
right.
basically.
Yeah,
So
because
the same way, like, yeah, go ahead.
here in the Philippines, we just started using the term non-resident Filipinos to probably
Mm,
to refer to the same thing that you're referring to as diasporic Filipino.
yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got another learning.
Oo
We
nga.
learned another term from Miss Jean G. So we could there are a lot of terms referring to NRF, such as what it was mentioned, diasporic
Filipino. Oo.
Filipinos. Now we would just like to ask if how thus given that all of you are Filipino Americans within your organization, the Kulintang dialect, how do you encourage Filipinos abroad, especially the diasporic Filipinos, to remain engaged in nation building and contribute to their homeland?
Yeah, I think like I said, the workshops that we do, I mean, it's not just fundraising for only Filipino causes, of course, like other local causes we care about here. I think that is a big part of it. And then again, I think showing up as your most authentic self. And also, like, I'm never going to be a gatekeeper. So, whenever someone approaches me and says, "Oh, where can I learn more kuntang?" or "How can I learn more about this music?" I'm always going to try to direct them to resources, even if that's not amongst ourselves. One thing that was really cool that happened was on TikTok, I posted a video of Conrad and I performing in Switzerland, and it went kind of viral. I wasn't expecting it to. It had 200K views and then went up to 400K views recently. I think because of Beanie's Coachella performance, they had Kulintang in their music. But then there were actually a lot of people from the Philippines who commented like, "Wow, I live in the Philippines. I didn't even know this was here." And
Mm.
so I would try to respond and be like, "Yeah, you can go to this organization or you can read more about Kulintang here." So always trying to build those bridges.
Where did you get your instruments? I'm just curious. Where did you get your instruments, like the kulintang? Because kulintang is such a huge assembly that you have to dismantle and rebuild.
Yeah, so I have 3 Kulintang sets now. The gongs themselves. So the first one is a gift to me. I borrowed it from, we call him Manong Agong. Agongs are those big, giant
Yeah,
gongs,
yeah,
the two suspended on a stand. Manong Alexis, he's like a world nomad traveler. He let me borrow that set. And that's actually a set that was previously owned by the late master Danungan Kalanduan.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then a second set, I went on like an adventure to Vancouver in Canada for this heirloom set. So there's Kulintang sets that you can make today, but an heirloom set, that's different.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like you find a rare Pokemon card, because that heirloom set, yeah, the heirloom set has been passed down from generation to generation within a family. So it could be, 100 years old. And the one that I got, someone told me they believe it's from Zamboanga. Because when you look at the design on the Kuantang gong, it's kind of like a family crest. Sometimes there's hearts on it, or there's like zigzags.
Yeah.
The style that I have has zigzags, and someone told me that they believe because of the design it's from Zamboanga. And it
Yeah.
is an heirloom set that's been passed down to many generations.
Because I have a set of gongs at home, but the design is more of it's like a dragon, like a Chinese dragon.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, send me a picture later.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Now, I also read, Miss Gingy, that your favorite quote is by James A. Baldwin, and I quote, "The role of the artist is exactly the same as the role of the lover. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see." Why is this your favorite quotation?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite quote. Yeah, because I think that, like I said, we do a lot of fundraising, and then how we did the gunataang ng pagtutuwid sa kasaysayan, how we did the Buffalo Soldier Suite,
Mm,
those parts of our history, people need to know because, we have to know where we came from to know where we're going, right? I think that's really important.
okay. Gingy, as I told you before we went on air, can I ask you to greet your fellow Bisaya in the dialect so that we can practice your conversational Cebuano?
Yeah. Mayong udto.
Maayong buntag, maayong udto kaninyong tanan. Gingy is from Cebu. I'm not sure which town, but do you know which town your family comes from?
My family comes from this small town called Naga.
In Naga. Yeah.
Ah.
That's the town near, Karkar. Karkar is home to the best lechon in Cebu.
Oh, really? I'm
Yeah.
vegetarian, though,
You
but
should go
that's
there.
okay.
There are lots of options for Filipino food, and hopefully we get to see you in the future, actually, Miss Gingy.
And hopefully we can see you also at the Commission on Filipinos Overseas, so we can probably collaborate on some programs because we also have programs that promote culture and engagement for second and third generation Filipinos like you who are now living overseas.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's go.
Go ahead, Miss
Monday.
Gingy. Go ahead, Miss Gingy.
Oh, no, I was just saying I'll be there tomorrow. Set it up.
Oh. So, I guess,
Final message?
final message for you, from you, to our viewers and listeners of the program Bridges on Air, particularly maybe those non-resident Filipinos or diasporic Filipinos around the world who might get inspired from our discussion today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I always said, just be yourself, trust your voice, and the right people will find you.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Gingy. Until next time, mabuhay po kayo.
Yeah, mabuhay! Yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Gingy. At ating nakasama sa edisyong ito ng Bridges on Air, ang isang Filipino-American filmmaker, writer at musician na siya ring bahagi ng Kulintang Dialect. Walang iba kundi si Miss Gingy Saison.
Dami ko natutunan sa kanya, no? Yung Buffalo Army.
Yes.
Diba? Hindi naman na ituro sa klase.
Parang hindi ko maalala, no? Siguro dapat ipaalala natin sa ating mga viewers and listeners
may
dito.
mga bagay sa kasaysayan natin na hindi pasyadong na-explore. So siguro isa yan sa magandang pagtuunan ng pansin ng mga nag-aaral ng history.
Yes, baka pwedeng isama sa ating mga textbooks para kumpletos rekados talaga ang pag-aaral ng araling panlipunan ng ating mga kabataan dito sa Pilipinas. Kasi mahalaga talaga na masuyod ng buong kasaysayan para nauunawaan din natin kung bakit ba nangyayari yung mga nangyayari ngayon.
Ay nakakatuwa kay Gingy Saison. Yeah. Pareho siya, parang kasama siya sa mga tina-target ng CFO na yung mga Pilipinong hinahanap yung kanilang identity.
Yes.
Kaya pumapasok sa musika, sa literatura. Yan yung gustong abutin ni Secretary Clink ang yung mga ganyang generation. At maganda nga na si Miss Gingy Saison ang nakasama natin ngayong araw na ito.
Pwede, kasi nakikita ko din na gumagawa ng mga materials ang CFO to promote culture. Kaya siguro maganda na merong collaboration para sa parte naman ng musika, makapag-share din tayo ng hindi naman to bagong impormasyon, pero siguro masasabi natin impormasyon na hindi pa pamilyar sa ating mga kababayan.
Saka inspiring yung inspiring yung interest nila sa indigenous music. Kasi dati may group, kung hindi matagal na to, hindi ka pa pinapanganak. Yung Local Brown, collaboration yan ng mga magagaling na mga Filipino artist. Gumagamit sila ng mga kulintang, kudyapi, mga gong. Sila Heber Bartolome, sila Bayang Barrios. Parang ganun din ang gustong, parang itong generation na to nila Gingy, sila yung magpapatuloy niyan.
Kaya dapat na sana hindi lang sa parte na Miss Gingy binabalikan yung, although sabi niya parang fusion ng modern sa traditional music, pero pa rin dahil mahalaga pa rin na i-promote natin kahit may fusion ito, kasi sabi nga niya mas napapalapit kasi yung musikang ganito, lalo na sa mga bagong henerasyon, kung medyo nakaka-relate ba sa henerasyon katulad nung siguro sa akin, medyo sa modern music tayo dyan, pero kung mahaluan ng traditional music, magkakaroon din ako ng interest na paano ba nagagawa itong ganitong klaseng musika, lalong-lalo na sa henerasyon na ito, ako dito guilty ako dito fan ng K-pop, ng western pop, pero mahalaga din na lagi natin kasi binabalikan yung ating roots, kasi part yun ng ating heritage at identity bilang isang Pilipino, at yun yung pinakita sa atin ni Miss Gingy, kasi kahit pinanganak siya sa US ay napalalagana pa rin nila ng maayos, ng mabuti itong kultura surrounding kulintang.
Ang exposure kasi ng mga kabataan dito sa Pilipinas sa ganyan, tuwing buwan ng wika lang
Totoo po.
Diba?
Totoo po yan.
So kasi parang pag July, tulad ngayon, July, anong bang ginagawa ng mga estudyante pag July? Nutrition month, dadamitan mong orange, carrot,
Kaya nga.
pinya. Pagdasok ng Agosto, ayan na, yung magsasayawan na kayo ng traditional,
Makikita natin, nakasuot ng Filipiniana, ng barong, yung ating mga kabataan, pero pagkatapos nun, wala na.
Balik na naman sa K-pop.
Kaya nga, sana consistent tayo dyan sa pagpapalaganap ng ating kultura. Kasi, parang nakakahiya naman isipin po, Sir Ares, na dito hindi na palalaganap, pero sa ibang bansa, yung mga non-resident Filipinos na nandun, sila pa yung mas nakakapag-spread ng Filipino culture.
I-cross-promote na rin natin yung ginagawa ng Radyo Pilipinas, ng buong Presidential Broadcast Service.
Yes.
Kasi meron kaming, sa mga sister stations namin, merong programa tungkol sa kundiman every Saturday. May mga programa na pinag-uusapan yung literature. Mga paunti-unting bagay na para hindi mawala sa consciousness natin ang Filipino culture and traditions. Pinag-uusapan dito yan sa mga programa namin dito sa PBS.
Totoo po yan. At least, kahit papano, sa kahit maliliit na hakbang, ay nakatutulong ang ating mother agency na maipalagana pa rin ang kultura, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga kabataang Pilipino, na ma-instill sa kanila yung culture, yung tradisyon, yung kaugalian, lahat-lahat na, yung buong Filipino identity ay mapanatili natin sa ating lahat. Siguro, mukhang tayo'y nasisenyasan na ng ating
Oh,
mga kasama.
Nakasimangot na.
Di naman, di naman. Oo, di naman. Pero ano na tayo, we're running out of material time. Syempre, maraming salamat sa lahat ng nakinig sa ating programa nga Bridges on Air. Sa ating mga nakasama sa programa, ang ating CFO correspondent na si Joshua Dave Garcia. Maraming salamat sa iyo. At syempre, sa ating Pinoy Ako segment guest na si Miss Gingy Saison, ang ating panauhin na isang Cebuana, Filipino-American filmmaker, writer at musician na siya ring bahagi ng Kulintang dialect. At syempre, yung mga kasama din natin sa studio na patuloy na umaalalay sa atin dito sa programa, sa Master Control, nandyan si Sir Milo Jonella, sa ating live streaming, nandyan si Hero Lucero, at nandyan na rin yung ating bagong kasama kasi iniwanan na tayo ni Justin. Ayan, siya yung nagre-review na para sa board exam. Meron na tayong bagong kasama, si John Paul Lumuntad. Ayun. So, dito na natin tinatapos ang pinakabagong edisyon ng Bridges on Air sa ngalan ng ating kasamang si Ray Sampang. Ako po si Steph Vicente ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Ako naman po si Ares Gutierrez ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas.
At ito pa rin po ang programang
Bridges on Air.
Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Panagsanib na puwersa ng PBS Radyo Pilipinas World Service at Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Magsisilbing tulay sa himpapawid para sa Filipino diaspora. Dala ay balita, impormasyon at serbisyo publiko na mag-uugnay sa pamahalaan at OFWs sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Tampok din ang mga Pilipino na nagbibigay inspirasyon, kampyon ng kultura, tradisyon at katatagan ng Pilipino sa kapwa Pinoy saan man sa mundo. Bridges on Air. Tulay sa himpapawid. Dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.